This is Midrash Bereishis Bereishis, entitled "The Ground Rules Were Set in the Very First Letter of the Torah." So the Midrash starts out with a very deceptively simple question: why did the Torah start with a bet and not an aleph? After all, aleph is the first letter of the Torah. One could even say aleph is the first letter of one of the names of God. So why not start with aleph? So the Midrash gives an answer which seems very simple, and that is that aleph is associated with the word arur. As the Midrash says, lashon arur, cursed, while bet is associated with lashon baruch, blessed. So you want to start out with something blessed and not cursed. But this is sort of begging for more substance, begging to dig deeper. So we have one of the fundamental commentaries to Midrash Tanchuma, and that is the Beur Ha'amarim, and he gives two answers. The first one is that bet represents the fact that the fundamentals of the world are that there are two worlds. There's this world and the next world. And the words of the Midrash, "L'lamed labriot shem shtei olamot olam hazeh olam haba mi she'asak batova b'olam hazeh tova yochal bazeh ubaba," trying to teach the entire creation that if you've done good in this world, there'll be good consequences that you can enjoy both in this world and in the next world. In other words, it's the opposite of carpe diem, seize the day. The Torah wants you to know that what you do matters, and there is another world in which you can get rewards and punishment, and even in this world there are rewards and punishment for how you act and how you conduct yourself. So a very important basic principle, and that's why it starts with a bet. And we also know the famous quote from Pirkei Avot, Yaakov Omer, Holam hazeh domeh leprosdor mipnei olam haba. Yaakov said the world is like a vestibule to the next world. Prepare yourself in the vestibule before entering the banquet hall. This again is the idea of what you do here matters. Another way at it that the Beur Ha'amarim takes is that the bet represents multiplicity. In other words, if you take anything multiplied by 1, it stays the same. So if you assign numbers to the aleph bet, so aleph would be 1 and bet would be 2. So aleph means there's no growth, there's stagnation, but bet is the first number you could have where things multiply. It doubles. Anything multiplied by 2 is twice as big. And that is another fundamental principle of how what God imbued in the world and what God embedded in the world. That is that our whole purpose here is growth, right? Both pru urvu milu aretz, grow by having children, but there's many other forms of growth. There's forms of growth in your character, there's forms of growth in how you negotiate, adversity. This is a major theme that God gives you constant opportunities for growth. So there's physical growth, there is the commandment to look at all the niflaot baret, to understand this world, to dig and uncover its secrets, and to make the world grow, make society grow. All these things are embedded in that bet, which means multiplicity, growth. Of course, we're not taking anything away from the aleph, because the aleph is still called rosh l'chol otiyot. It is the head of all the letters, and the word aleph is like the word aluf, which means commander, chief. So it is still a very significant letter, but the letter bet was chosen for these two beautiful ideas of multiplicity, and for the idea of there being two worlds and consequences to our actions. So we all know the famous principle that God looked in the Torah and created the world. So here you have it, that God looked in the Torah, it was the blueprint for the world. The very first letter of that blueprint already was communicating major fundamental spiritual ideas that are supposed to guide mankind to make the best out of this world. Have a great Shabbat.